Hello everyone, my name is Weibing Chu. Though much meeting is cancelled thanks for APS' great effort, we can still share our work in this virtual talk. Today I'm going to talk about our theoretical study on the defect behavior in electron-hole recombination, which is an important bottleneck of the semiconductor efficiency. Since our conclusion kinda contradicts to the conventional knowledge that we spent 1 year to persuade the referee, fortunately, this result finally come out in last February. I hope I can convince you in this short talk. It's well known that the defect always plays an important role in the non-radiative recombination in the semiconductor. It's considered to be the bottleneck of the solar cell's efficiency. Back to 1950, Shockley-Read-Hall developed this well-known SRH model to describe this trap-assisted recombination. They consider the localized defect state in the band gap can assist the non-radiative electron-hole recombination. SRH model is used to describe the statistic of trap-assisted recombination in semiconductors. Based on this model, the recombination rate involved with traps depends on the concentration of charge carriers and the energy of the trapping level, which often contributed by the defect. SRH model reached great success and has been widely applied for different kinds of semiconductors, including perovskite solar cells. It provides a simple judgment that deep-level traps in the band gap are believed to be an effective electron-hole recombination center, and this is harmful to the solar cell. However, SRH model is focused on giving a macroscopic statistic. When we come to ab initio or atomic level, what is a non-radiative electron-hole recombination? It's the electronic energy dissipates into heat, which is assisted by the phonon. So the electron-phonon interaction should be the dominating factor in this process. However, these interactions are not explicitly included in the original SRH model. Our group developed the method using non-adiabatic molecular dynamics, which employs the time-dependent Kohn-Sham theory with surface hopping framework to study this non-radiative electron-hole recombination in real time. Generally, the illusion of electron-hole recombination is governed by the non-adiabatic coupling, which could be get through solving time-dependent Schrödinger equation. One can say the non-adiabatic coupling depends on three terms: the electron-phonon coupling matrix element, velocity of nuclei, and the energy difference between the initial state and the final state. The full recombination rate relies on the non-adiabatic coupling quite complicatedly, but we can use the similar Fermi golden rule to give a quick judgment. MJK is the overlap between the initial state and the final state, which is pretty much similar to the non-adiabatic coupling DJK. Let's assume the electron-phonon coupling term are similar in the pristine and the defect system. Then the probability is inversely proportional to the energy difference between the initial state and the final state. One can see the energy difference between deep-level defect and the free carriers, which usually locates near the band edge, is much smaller than those in pristine or shallow-level defect. So the recombination probability should be strongly enhanced with this defect due to the small energy difference. That's why SRH model works for most semiconductors. However, defect electron is a localized electron, so the overlap between localized defect electron and delocalized free carriers should be very different with those overlap between both delocalized carriers. Thus, the electron-phonon coupling term should be smaller in defect system and is sensitive to the type of defect. One can expect if the electron-phonon coupling term decreases sufficiently, in other words, it can overcome the barrier created by the small gap in the deep-level defect. Then the final recombination probability should be comparable to those in pristine. It means the deep level defect can be not harmful as predicted. That's what we're going to do later. Metal halide perovskite is really a hot material recently. This material is prepared in solution. It means this material should have tons of defects. However, the efficiency of perovskite progressed like a rocket in recent years, so perovskite should be strong defect tolerant. Our group have studied several defects in both hybrid and all inorganic perovskites. Some of them are deep-level defects, and some are shallow defects. Surprisingly, we found the non-radiative recombination for all those defective systems, regardless whether the defect is a deep level or a shallow level. The final recombination rate is comparable to the pristine system. Even in the all-inorganic perovskite, all defects invested here surprise the recombination. It's really amazing. Meanwhile, we found some defects exhibit strong covalency. Halide perovskite is an ionic material. The iodine trimer, which is a covalent bond, is very rare in this material. Previous study has also found this formation of iodine trimer in the hybrid perovskite, and the formation of this covalent bond will lift up the defect energy level in the band gap. Then this shallow defect turns into a deep defect. The previous study predicted this defect as a strong recombination center based on the SRH model, just because the energy level is at the middle of the band gap. However, in our calculation, the recombination is suppressed by those iodine trimer. To understand this, we need to study these defect electrons at real-time level, which means the incorporation with phonons should be considered. Here is the statistical distribution for nuclei and defect electrons over a 10 picosecond dynamics. One can see the defect atom is located in a small region, and the electrons are strongly localized near the iodine trimer. There is a rare distribution on the PDI lattice, and for the CsI defect, the distribution is nearly zero on the lattice. Let's recall what we discussed before. The competition between energy difference and the electron-phonon coupling term in non-adiabatic coupling. For iodine interstitial, which is relatively shallow, actually both these defect levels fluctuate a lot due to the tremor vibration. For the shallow iodine interstitial, obviously, the energy difference for recombination is larger. But on the other hand, since there some distribution on the lattice, the overlap is stronger than CsI defect under those competition. The recombination rate for these two defects is very close. Moreover, all of them are suppressed when compared to the pristine system. This trend contradicts what SRH model predicts. By doing the Fourier transform analysis, we can know which phonon mode contribute to the electron-hole recombination. One can see all these phonons contribute to the electron-hole recombination at low frequency, and we think this is the main reason for the strong defect tolerance in perovskite. It can be understood from three aspects by comparing with the conventional semiconductor. First, the lattice phonon frequency, or bulk modulus, are much higher in conventional semiconductors than the so-called soft semiconductors like perovskite. The low-frequency phonon usually associated with the heavy mass atom, and apparently small velocity. Thus, from the above equation, the non-adiabatic coupling in soft semiconductors should be similar than those in the conventional semiconductors. Second, the higher phonon frequencies means the region with strong coupling between the two potential energy surfaces in a recombination dynamics is denser, so the overall transition probability should be larger in conventional semiconductors. Third, which is the most important, I believe. The defect electron is more localized in these soft low-frequency materials compared to the conventional high-frequency semiconductor. Here is a 3D version of previous statistical distribution of defect electron into typical semiconductors. One can clearly see the electrons strongly localized in a small region in the soft semiconductor like perovskite. We think this situation that the electron's strongly localized behavior correlates with the low-frequency phonon. It's kinda similar to the Anderson localization. The low-frequency lattice phonon, the small bulk modulus in the softer materials indicated a strong disorder, and the electron getting localized due to the disorder. This is still not well established till now, just the rule of thumb. We hope we can validate it in the near future. Finally, we come to the conclusion. Thanks for your time. The main point we want to claim is electron-phonon coupling is very important. You cannot ignore it when considering non-radiative recombination. We propose a scenario that deep defect can be good in non-radiative recombination. The defect becomes strongly localized when incorporated with the low-frequency lattice phonon. Thus, its overlap is very small with the free carriers, making it can win the battle with the decreased energy difference. At last, I would like to use this opportunity to thank my advisors and collaborators. The first work on the hybrid perovskite is supervised under my PhD advisor, Jane. The second work on the all-in organic perovskites is supervised under my postdoc advisor, Oleg. I would like also thank Wissam. It's him bringing me to this fancy field about perovskite, and he is also a great grammar teacher to me. Thanks Chijin for great helping in coding and methodology development. Also, I should thank all these funding organizations. Again, thanks for your time.